Hello everyone. My webcam is not working, so you cannot see me. I would like to go through this article with you, examining team approach article for strategic business leader SBL. This article you can get it from ACCA website where you can actually download it. Uh, the article was issued to prepare students for September 2023 exam onwards. So it will be relevant to your exam as well, right? It's not relevant to the old structure, but it is relevant to the new structure. So let's go through a little bit about this article. Overview of SBL exam. Now, you can download the article. For those who join my class, I already shared with you whether hard copy or soft copy. For those who would like to go and download, you can go and search examining team approach articles for SBL, and you will be able to download one copy. It is available. It is available in the website. So you have to read through. You have to read through. I will do some highlights only. So overview of the SBL exam. What I want to highlight is about here. You are supposed to uh, read and comprehend the additional information in the exhibit provided. The best approach suggested by ACCA is to read exhibits with the task in mind. Having said that, I suggest you to read the task requirement first before you go through the exhibit. Now, SBL has pre-seen information. Now, of course, you read pre-seen information before your exam. So during your exam, how are you supposed to approach your exam questions? My advice to students is always to look at the screen first. I mean, whatever on the screen first. You will be able to see a list of exhibit listed down. What exhibit will be given to you, right? Before you click anything. So you will be able to see a screen where it tells you what exhibits you have. So when you see the screen, read through the screen first. Read through the screen and understand what exhibit is given to you first. This is very useful. When you read the task requirement, you will be able to link which exhibit is relevant to a specific task. So I always ask students to read the information listed down on the screen first without clicking any window. Read the requirement, read the list of exhibits first. Understand what exhibit is given to you first. Then only you will go to task to read the task. You will be able to link which exhibit is relevant to each task more easily once you have gone through the list of exhibit. All right. So sometimes students will ask me, should I read all the tasks first, because we have task 1, 2, 3 in different window. So should I read all the tasks first, or should I actually read task 1 and perform task 1 first? It actually depends on students, I would say. My experience is, although number 2, if you can see number 2, ACCA say more than one exhibit may be useful in answering a task. I agree with this. Right? But my experience tell me in the new structure, it is more specific where one particular task is related to one exhibit. Or you can say one or two exhibit are relevant to a particular task. So it is more structured in such a way. So it is not like all structure. All structure, yes, you have to read through all the exhibits to get the information, then only you can answer the task, because in the old structure, the information is scattered everywhere. It is true for the old structure. But for the new structure, you got to find out your own way. I would suggest you to test, to try, to use some mock exams or to use the past year in the practice platform to try which way is suitable to you. For the safe side, students can still read all the tasks first and then read all the exhibits for the safe side, because there is still a possibility where more than one exhibit is useful to answer your task. So if this is the case, if you use the method that I mentioned just now, read all the tasks and read all the exhibits, it will give you more guarantee. I would say like this. You will have a better picture about what is happening in the company, and then how are you supposed to answer each task after getting all the information. But if you can see very obviously and in a very structured way that a particular exhibit is related to only a task, and you are very confident about that, then you can go on to answer task 1 first. Then only go to task 2 and task 3, right? My approach when I give tuition, I always read through the task first. I always read through all the tasks, and then after that, I read through all the exhibits because I want to see is there any more other points that I can write which appears in other exhibits that I didn't read if I go task by task, right? Okay, so that is something that I would like to share with you. Then the syllabus, you still have to go through the syllabus. Then essential skills is still the same. We have technical skills 80 marks. This one is testing your knowledge and testing how well your application is. And then professional skills marks is 20 marks. There are 5 categories. This one we will mention in another video, right? There are 5 categories that you will be tested on the professional skills. But ultimately, generally, what you need to take note is you have to write your answer in the format that is specified. For example, if you are asked to write a report, you have to make sure your answer is in the report. That is a general impression to the examiner, but I'm not saying that when you do this you will definitely get the 20 marks. I'm not saying like this, but that is a general impression that you can give to the examiner. Then you also need to learn the digital skills on your CBE, computer-based exam. So you have to try using your practice platform. You cannot touch your CBE the first time when you are having your exam. It is a no. It is definitely a no, and it is not something that you're supposed to do. Right? So you should always test out your practice platform sorry, cannot say right before. You should always test out your practice platform before your exam and as early as possible to get yourself familiarized. Right? Now, part 2 of the article is to tell you how to approach the exam, right? You must read the introductory page. Now, when we say introductory page, this page means the introductory page of CBE, not the introductory page of your pre-seen material, the CBE. So my advice to student is you read it before your exam, right? When you first when you first using the practice platform to do your practice, please read all the pages. When you click on a certain paper, before you go to the exam itself, there will be a few pages introducing you about the practice platform, the functions available, and how you're supposed to navigate. So please read through. At least read the whole thing for 1 or 2 times, right? Read through the introductory page, then you will have a better understanding about how to use the CBE platform, right? Then number 2, effective reading and planning. That's why you cannot take uh, the exam as the first time you see the paper. You have to practice many, many, many times before you go to the exam. Why? Because you need to practice to find out your own momentum. You have to find out your own approach. What is the approach that you think is the most comfortable and is the most effective and most efficient in terms of the duration and the approach you use within the time pressure. So you got to find out your own way. Now, of course, tuition provider will suggest to you what are the best way that they think, or after their own practice, what is the best way. But you still need to find out your own way, because the best way for your tuition provider does not mean it is the best way for you. So you got to find out what is the most comfortable approach that you can get. You are able to do it, and you also need to find out how much time you should spend on each part. Like for example, how much time you should spend on reading the task, how much time you should spend on reading the exhibit, how much time you should spend on answer planning. You have to find out all this approach by yourself, all this your own momentum, right? So you will be able to know how you are supposed to approach SBL exam when you are taking the exam in the exam hall. Okay. Then number 3, address the requirement. This is to advise you that for the task, please read everything. Every task has an introduction before the requirement. So it is talking about this part. It's talking about this part. So sometimes students will ignore this part and straight away jump to requirement, which is highly, strongly not recommended, right? You are encouraged to read everything, because sometimes in the so-called introduction parts of the task, you will be able to see what is to be asked, or you will be able to see what exactly is the information that they need. Because sometimes when you read the requirement, you may not understand. But when you read the introduction together with the requirement, it will give you a better understanding of what does it mean. what is the problem that the company face and what are you supposed to solve, right? And also you also need to read the professional skills marks requirement as well, because sometimes the professional skills marks requirement will give you a clearer picture. What are you supposed to write? You see this question, you're supposed to clarify the benefits and problems. If you read the requirement, they never tell you benefits and problems. Do you see that? So you have to read the professional skills marks requirement as well, because sometimes you will get an idea what are you supposed to write. So in another words, in short, you have to read everything, right? You have to read every single thing. Okay. Then technical verbs. You also need to focus on technical verbs, which we will cover in another video in the future. You have to understand and you have to detail about the technical verbs so that you will know how long or how deep you need to write. So I always advise students, when it comes to technical verb, it is deciding how long you have to write or how deep your analysis should be. So if it is action verb, like for example, explain. Explain is just to make things clear. So it can be very surface, right? It can be very surface, and usually explain will only give you 1 mark. But if you have more other verbs, like for example, recommend, for example, evaluate, all these verbs will need a deeper analysis. You have to further your points. You have to develop your points further so that you can get more marks, right? So that you can fulfill what the task requirement asks you to do, right? Then how to develop the point? Just now I mentioned how to you have to develop the point. So how to do it? To score 2 marks per points, you are supposed to do this. You are supposed to relate the points directly to the organization. Consider the significance of the point. Like if you want to write an idea, why is your idea important that you need the board of director to know? So you have to tell the examiner about this. Why is it important to consider what you have written, right? Explain what consequences the point has and support the point with an example either from exhibit or relevant real life examples. Examples sometimes will give a better clarity. So if you can relate one example very well, then you can actually put it, right? So importantly, when you write a point, you have to think in a way that how would this point affect what is happening in the company? Why is it important for board of director to understand the points that you have mentioned? Right? So that is how you can develop your points further. And then professional skills marks, we will address this in another video. So you can go and read all this by yourself. And how to increase chances of passing. I think this one is the most essential things that you have to read. Right? You have to read this many times, I suppose. So we'll go through briefly. The first one, poor time management is a thing that always causes students not able to pass the exam. So you have to really get your idea, get your momentum. How are you supposed to spend your time, right? So sometimes students spend too much time on tasks without regard to allocated marks. So you don't match your times with the marks, which is something that is will cause you to have a mismatch. So you will have poor time management. So this one, how to allocate marks according to the time, I already have one video sharing this. So you can refer to the video that I've shared earlier. And not focusing on the requirements, sometimes they write what they know, but they never answer the requirement. This one also is something that we should not do, because if you are doing this, you will get 0 marks. So you importantly is, yes, you have a lot of knowledge that you want to share, but the most important thing is you are supposed to answer to the questions. You're supposed to answer to the requirements, right? Making the same point in slightly different way in the same requirement. This is like you are repeating the same points. Now in SBL, one essential skills is you have to give more points, as many as possible. You have to give as many points as possible, but the points must be different. The points must be different. You cannot be repeating the points, because this also not only you will not get technical marks, but this also affect your professional skills marks, right? Giving details about models that are not applied to the case. Basically, don't explain the models, because the models um has no marks. It will not carry marks, because your board of director is not interested about the models, but your board of director is interested in how to solve the business problems. So you can apply whatever models that you have learned that you think is relevant to the task requirement, but don't explain the model and don't even need to write, what are the factors inside the models, right? You just apply directly and you tell the board of director how to solve the problem. Okay, performing calculation without using them. Calculation do not gain credit unless they are combined with interpretation. Now, having said that, SBL questions, in SBL questions, if you are given figures, you are expected to use it. Right? You are expected to use it. This is what the examiners mentioned. You are expected to use the figures if you are given figures. But by only using it without explanation, that figures or that calculation will not give you any marks. So it means when you use the figure, you got to know why you use the figure and how does it help your justification, right? So you have to think about the points that should be made in each requirement and then consider how calculation can support your justification. Okay, copy and paste information from exhibit without adding anything. We don't do that. We don't do that. Definitely, we don't do that. Even though now you can just click Control C and Control V, copy and paste, but we don't uh use bluntly the words in the exhibit, because this will give your examiner an impression that you are copying. So we will usually code it. Like, we understand what is happening in the company, and when we want to answer the questions, we will code it only. Or we will just code it. We will not copy exactly the same. Okay? Writing elaborate and lengthy plans. Plans are not marked and do not score any marks. So this is talking about answer planning. Now, of course, doing answer planning is good. We are not saying that it's not good. Doing answer planning is still good, but don't spend too much time on answer planning. You should do it in a very simplified way that you yourself will understand. Because answer planning, you just need to make sure yourself understand it. Yourself understand it. Other people no need to understand your answer plan, including long introductions, right? Yes, a certain format will need introduction, like for example, reports. Reports will need introduction, but keep your introduction short and sweet. And in fact, I always advise students, don't spend too much time on introduction. If you're running out of time, you should actually do one sentence introduction that I will mention in my class, right? Inefficient use of the present during the exam. Searching for information in the present documents will waste time. So it means you have to be very familiar about your present materials. So how to get yourself familiar with the present materials? You have to read many, many times, as what I suggest in earlier videos, right? So these are just few examples of a poor exam technique practice. We'll go through when we go through the classes, and hopefully you have a better idea and a better preparation to face your SBL exam. So conclusion, also to conclude this video, learn the whole syllabus, review the wide range of SBL learning resources that are available in the ACCA website. So please visit ACCA Global very, very frequently. Develop an appropriate and efficient exam techniques, right? Get your own feeling, get your own momentum. Know how you want to approach SBL. It is very individual. We can advise you what to do, and you see whether it is useful to you. If not, you can adjust slightly here and there to make it your own approach. Practice plenty of past exam questions. Yes, you have to do a lot of practice. Assimilate the information contained within the precinct before the exam session. Read at least 3 times, as what I mentioned in previous video.